Cinesmack contains spoilers of the spoiling type. If you don't want your spoilers spoiled, please turn back now. Otherwise, enjoy the show!
Gentlemen, let's broaden our minds. Lawrence?
Ladies and gentlemen! Welcome to the main event! This is Cinesmack! And the winner is...
Hello, Cinesmacketeers, and welcome to bout number 64 of the podcast about films by filmmakers. I am your host, Mike Keeler. Joining me tonight is our panel of award-winning judges. First, filmmaker and owner of One Genome Short Productions, Gabriel Rowald.
Good evening, folks. And I just want to take a quick second to say happy birthday to one of our regular contributors to the show, Tosh Dillinger.
Oh, it's Tosh's birthday, huh?
It's Tosh's birthday today, the White Tornado, or whatever we called him. Yeah, so happy birthday, Tosh.
All right, well, happy birthday, Tosh. Second, filmmaker and owner of Cheshire Moon Films, Tom Haggis.
Hey everybody, how you doing? We need to wrap this up really quick because I got tickets to the second night of Spectacular, and I don't want to miss it. Everybody said last night was amazing.
It was killer.
Oh.
Killer.
Oh. Third, our first special guest judge, the better half of Cheshire Moon Films and president of the Ames chapter of the Ewan McGregor Fan Club, Lisa Haggis.
Good evening.
Hi, Lisa. Thanks for joining us.
Thanks for having me here.
Last but not least is our second special guest judge for this month, producer, director, and the actual brains behind Southsider Studios, Amanda Keeler.
Hello, all.
Hi. I'm glad you traveled so far to be here.
I did.
Yeah, thank you.
All the way from the other room.
All right. Well, all the way from all the way from upstairs. So this is the first time I've seen one of the films. It was kind of a halftime. I didn't get to see much of the second film, but yeah, we'll see how this goes. Since I don't have to vote this time, I just get to throw out fun facts, unless Gabe or Amanda take them all. So let's poke the monkey and find out what we're doing this month.
Ladies and gentlemen, hoopers and crooners, welcome to the main event. Tonight, our competitors sing, tap, and twirl through a musical minefield to see who are the champions and who will sing the blues. In the first corner, from 1952, directed by Stanley Donen and Gene Kelly. Starring Gene Kelly, Donald O'Connor, and Debbie Reynolds. Singin' in the Rain. In the second quarter, from 2001, directed by Bob Luhrmann. Starring Nicole Kidman, Ewan McGregor, and John Leguizamo. Moulin Rouge!
All right.
What?
Huh? You okay, Tom?
Yeah, sorry, I nodded off for a second there.
All right. Let's move on to our first round, which is writing.
It's a little interesting doing the writing category with musicals to me, because it kind of gets combined a little bit with some of our later categories, like, you know, the overall category where we talk about music and that kind of thing. So because obviously the music and those kinds of things is integral to the story in both of these. So I don't know. I don't know exactly how to approach it. I feel like Moulin Rouge was a good love story. It was well written, but on a certain level, to me, it was somewhat predictable. And I'm a big fan of the whole out of order kind of storytelling, where you kind of start at the end or start somewhere in the middle and introduce people to a situation that's kind of unfamiliar, and then you've got the viewers engaged immediately and they're trying to figure it out. But I felt like the way that Moulin Rouge was approached a little bit made it a little bit too predictable. I mean, obviously we knew what was going to happen to a certain degree, and there's a part of me, and spoiler alert. So if any of our listeners haven't watched it yet, spoilers are coming.
Well,
but that's kind of always.
They get the spoiler alert at the beginning of the show.
At the beginning,
so
okay, yeah. I mean, it's kind of always the case with our show. So, I feel like it would have been more interesting at the end because they set it up that she's going to die from consumption, or TB as we know it now. But I think it would have been more interesting had they kind of twisted that on us, and we're expecting her to die that way, but maybe she accidentally gets shot by the Duke or something in that sequence at the end, instead of it being just this comic thing with the gun flying around, and then it would have been, we thought we knew what was coming, and then it would have been a little bit of a twist. Right. So I thought it was a well-written love story. I enjoyed the characters. I enjoyed the story, but I thought it was just a little bit predictable. And I guess Singin' in the Rain was a little bit less predictable to me, because we didn't know how they were going to resolve this issue with this terrible film that they had made. So it was a little bit less predictable to me, and that to me is kind of a deciding factor between these two.
Yeah, see, I think it's got more weight knowing that she dies at the end, because then you kind of have the idea of, the movie has to prove itself. If it's going to be predictable and lay out the ending, then you're like, why are we watching this if we know she dies at the end? And I think it delivers on that. So I think that it's, whereas Singin' in the Rain has a couple issues, like, I don't know, the Broadway melody scene and Beautiful Girl, where things that's like, what are these things doing in the middle of this movie? It doesn't make any sense why these are in there. If what's the studio guy, RF?
Yeah, RF.
In Singin' in the Rain. Yeah, when they explain the whole Broadway melody number and it cuts back to modern time or real time, if he was any good movie studio, I think what he should have said was, I don't know, guys, it seemed a little unnecessary and tacked on.
Well, I said
this scene should probably get cut from the movie and save a little money.
I was saying the same
really
thing
it's
to
really
Mike,
expensive.
because I said that because I asked him, because sometimes I nod off like Tom did earlier, but I asked Mike after I watched it, I said, did I miss the part where they explained why there was a whole modern scene thrown in the middle of this Dancing Cavalier movie? I said, and he goes, no. I said, that totally, I'm just sitting there watching that whole scene and I'm like, why? How does this fit into the movie? And I was right there with you. I was completely confused about it. Was, hey, we need to have a big elaborate dance number.
Yeah, and it was 1 minute there, there's a story of this jilted lover and this guy that couldn't make it, and then he does make it, and the next thing you know, they're dancing in the middle of this weird pastel airport runway, and I'm just like, what is going on?
I love the pastel
Patrice is a great
runway.
dancer, but I think they could have found another way to work her in.
I love the pastel runway. For some reason, I just like the look of that set, and I like the use of that 50-foot veil or whatever that was. I really enjoyed that, but I'm totally with you guys where it was like they just we need more dancing in this movie, and they just did that one scene. It really kind of took me out. I'm like, this doesn't belong here.
If you need to have Sid Treese in the movie, make her the cop at the end of Singin' in the Rain and have her and Gene dance around a little bit. There you go. Boom, done. That makes more sense.
Okay.
I'll take my check. Thank you very much.
I think think it would have even made more sense if they had the Debbie Reynolds character or Gene Hagen's character be the one dancing opposite him. Kind of a, love through the ages kind of thing. Something other than just...
Some random. Well, but I think it says in the trivia somewhere where they didn't think Debbie Reynolds could do that kind of dancing.
Yeah. So they got somebody else.
Right.
Then just cut the scene.
Yeah, just don't shoot it. So anyway, Lisa, you got anything on the writing?
I'm trying not to interrupt anybody. I'm terrible about that kind of timing.
That's totally the smack part.
Yeah.
Oh, that's the smack part?
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
well, I think it's a little
See, I'm going to
unfair.
interrupt you.
We interrupt
Okay.
Gabe all the time. It's fine.
I think it's a little unfair
You
to
need
call Moulin Rouge unpredictable, or not unpredictable, a little bit predictable. Yeah, it's predictable. They told you how it was going to end. So, but I really think that as far as Singing in the Rain goes, that was just as predictable. The only unpredictable thing were the numbers where you had to sit there and figure out why are we watching this right now? And I have to admit that Singing in the Rain is one of those movies that I think in my mind is better than it actually is, because I do these things with movies where we call it the Lisa edit, where I just decide what parts of the movies I liked and I string them all together, and that was the movie to me. And I just cut out all the parts I don't like.
I wish I could do that with some movies.
So there are some days where Satine doesn't actually die. They just reunite on the stage, and I turn off the Blu-ray player, and there we go.
And you walk away with a smile on your face.
I'm like, what did that guy at the beginning know? Not much. He clearly didn't watch the movie until the end.
So it's kind of like a director's cut, but
The Lisa
it's
cut.
Lisa's cut. Yeah.
What Baz Luhrmann did do a director's cut because she had tuberculosis and they made out a lot. So Christian was probably dead about a month after the credits rolled.
I thought about that too.
I asked
was
the
like,
very same
that's
question.
probably not a good
Tuberculosis
idea.
is very, very contagious. So
Now, as far as writing goes, do we count? I think what's not interesting about both of them is they both took pretty much already released material and put it together into one coherent, cohesive movie,
Right.
for the most
True.
part.
Yeah, I
And-
didn't think about Singin' in the Rain being previously released material, but
Yeah,
it was. That song was
Yeah.
I think-
around before.
I think it said they
And I
only
think
had,
most of the numbers in that had already been released too. The majority of them.
There were only 2 original songs in Singing in the Rain.
and then there was
Yeah.
only one in Moulin Rouge.
Yep.
Yeah. So that it's interesting that, decades later, they still kind of use this concept. I guess my question to the group is, do we count any of the songs in the writing at all?
No.
That's a good question, and that's where my problem was too. I don't know.
I think we need to
petitioned-
leave the music in the overall category where it usually is.
I petitioned for a special category since we were comparing 2 musicals where we judged based solely on the music.
And I
And he
knocked
vetoed
that
it.
out of the air. Yeah.
here's my thought on it. I think a good musical, the songs should move the plot forward. Singing in the Rain did not do that. Moulin Rouge it did.
Yeah, I agree. Absolutely.
That's because you're awesome.
Well, I think that's because you heard it from me and you're stealing my thoughts, and I'm not going to talk.
I came up with that on my own.
And
Okay.
I liked the other thing that I liked in Moulin Rouge that they did, yes, I agree it moved everything forward, but I think Singin' in the Rain, for the most part, I don't think they reinvented any of the songs. Where in Moulin Rouge, you had these reimaginings of it, or they would speak the lyrics of a song instead of just singing them, or you'd have
Oh my
the
God, I almost
mashups
fell out of my
and-
chair for Like a Virgin. That was fantastic. I was crying before it even started. It was so funny.
And I think that was my favorite one. I don't know how I felt about the mashups. I thought it was really creative, but I'm not. The execution to me was literally mashup.
Right.
Like it wasn't. And I'm sure I'm going to catch a lot of hell for it, but I just didn't think it was very elegant.
Yeah,
I thought they
mostly-
just were throwing songs together.
You're mostly going to catch a lot of hell because you're wrong.
Oh.
Yeah, you're wrong.
Right.
Yeah, I'm
No,
going to say you're wrong
because
on that.
I think there's a lot of people who agree with me on that. Maybe not in this group.
I
but
agree with
yeah,
you, Gabe.
but they're not here, so
I agree with you, Gabe.
like they were just thrown together. I didn't.
The one-
And my favorite one was Like a Virgin, because I didn't feel like that was thrown together. It wasn't mashed up with any other songs that I remember. But
see, I think the medleys are some of the best parts because everything was so big and loud, and there were so many people in the group scenes, and that's part of what I liked about it. Because when you're sitting at a bar or at a theater, I mean, if you focus in on the different groups around you, you're hearing different things, and I loved how that all did get mashed together and hodgepodged. Because I mean, the Moulin Rouge was this huge, just boisterous, all of these different groups of people and things happening, and you got to see all that through the music, and I thought that was incredibly creative to put it together like that. Again, another falling out of my chair moment. I cannot believe they got "Smells Like Teen Spirit." That was fantastic.
That was the one I was going to talk about, because that was where you had the musical mashup going at the same time as you had these two groups of characters coming together, and they were each singing their own half of that mashup, because they were doing the Teen Spirit one, and the other one was doing the Voulez-vous coucher avec moi? The Whores were, or the Diamond Dogs, excuse me.
you just wanted to say that.
I know, I'm sorry. And then all the men were doing the Teen Spirit one, and they were kind of, it's like a throwdown, dance off.
So, like, you're saying, like, Sharks versus whatever.
Yeah, I'd buy that a little bit.
Sharks versus Jets. Jesus, why?
This
All right.
I'm gonna come back to this in directing, but the Tango de Roxanne, it was my absolute favorite, because I thought it was the best fleshing out of a song. Because I mean, that's what that song was originally about anyway. But they took it to a whole nother level.
Mm-hmm.
And I want to come back and talk about that directing, because I'm sure we'll talk about choreography a bit when we get there.
Well, comparatively, I think writing is hard because we have two musicals that did similar things, like we said, to previously used music and put it all into one new plot line. But I think it's hard because, I mean, it's a comedy and it's a drama. Not that there weren't funny things about Moulin Rouge. I mean, it's entertaining and great, but to me, Singing in the Rain is almost this two-dimensional, like they didn't know what to do with the musical yet on film. It was very much like you could have put that on a stage anywhere, almost. And Moulin Rouge had so much more dimension to it. I thought that was less flat. The characters were more developed, and the plot line, again, I liked the way they told the story there a little bit better. It wasn't quite so linear. Not that there's anything wrong with linear. That's fine. But I think it's hard to compare the two because one's very, very bright and colorful and happy, and not a lot of bad things really happen in The Sound of Music, even if it is. I'm sorry. We've got this Sound of Music poster on my wall, and I keep looking at it, and it's totally messing me up tonight. We need to switch the posters around in this room. So I think they're hard to compare from that standpoint. I mean, are you in the mood for something really bright and bubbly and nothing can possibly go wrong? Or are you in the mood for something a little bit, it's a little bit heavier and darker? No matter what, there's a lot more dark subject matter in Moulin Rouge that you have to deal with.
Yes, there is. All right.
Okay, this is going to be a really bad tie-in, but it kind of relates to the writing, that not having as much funny parts in Moulin Rouge. The funniest line to me in Moulin Rouge is when Ewan McGregor calls one of the actors behind the scenes by his name, which is Chocolat. Did everybody catch that?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah. The black man that catches Nicole Kidman when she falls at the very beginning of the movie, his name's Chocolat, which is French for chocolate. And I just crack up every time I hear that. I'm like, really? Like, I'm pretty sure if that movie came out today, there would be some huge outcry on social media about it being racist, but...
Well, it's only 15 years old.
Lots
Oh my
changed.
God, it's 15 years old. Holy crap. Okay.
This was pre 9/11.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. All right. Let's go ahead and vote. Gabe.
Well, I'm gonna buck the trend. I'm gonna go with "Singing in the Rain."
All right. Tom.
Yeah, beautiful girl. I'm gonna have to go with Moulin Rouge.
All right. Lisa.
This is really, really hard because as much as I want to give it to Moulin Rouge because I like the plot better, I have to admit that there was, unfortunately, to this date, nothing as iconic from Moulin Rouge as there was from Singing in the Rain. I mean, Singing in the Rain is what, the top 5 movies of all time? Mm-hmm. And I think Moulin Rouge is it even on that list? No. So I have to give it to Singing in the Rain on this one, just for that I know, just for that purpose, because I mean, it is, everybody knows that. Who doesn't know Singing in the Rain? And I think there's only a few pockets of people here and there that really saw Moulin Rouge and enjoyed it. And I think part of that was because of the plot being heavier and because, I mean, Singing in the Rain, you walk out of that and you're happy. And I think most people, a lot of people, want to be happy after an experience like that.
All right. Amanda?
So, going into this whole thing, I thought Moulin Rouge, hands down, whatever, everything. And I really liked Singing in the Rain, and I agree with you, it's more iconic, but I have to wonder if that's because there were so many fewer movies, big movies coming out then than there were even 15 years ago. If maybe that's why it didn't get the attention. And there were more musicals then, so any of them that really stood out, I think, would endure better. But I cannot get over the long part in the middle with this random dance everything that made no sense to the story, that didn't move the story along at all, did nothing for the plot. So I have to give it to Moulin Rouge.
All right. So we're agreeing that the Broadway scene was pretty unnecessary. And Gabe and I are alone on the side that some of the melodies bothered us. Yeah.
Can I ask one question, because I wouldn't know this, and I'm trying to make an excuse for that in the middle and just trying to figure out why that existed. Was that their attempted, instead of having like a break intermission in the middle of some sort of show, that they thought, well, let's just put a really boring musical number, so if people really do have to go, they can go. But if they don't, there's something kind of on the screen.
I think you should.
But I don't know that it actually worked that way. I'm reaching, but
that is reaching. But it's a good idea. But it's reaching. I think it was Gene Kelly's.
I want to show off.
Yeah.
Oh, valid. Yeah.
Although Lisa's theory would explain why the random images of popcorn and Cokes were like cut in there.
That's yeah.
I mean, that would make a lot more sense now.
They did cut out the scene where they were actually dancing in popcorn and soda outfits. Let's go to the lobby.
It was early
actually
product
cut out. Yeah.
She took off the 50-foot cape and put on what was the candy striper outfit.
Right. Yes. Yeah. All right. For Singing in the Rain, the screenwriters bought a house in Hollywood from a former silent film star who lost his wealth when the innovation of sound film killed his career. This was part of the inspiration for the film. And I just find it funny. We're talking, we're doing Singing in the Rain, and last month we actually did 2 silent films. One that actually
and I also felt like, go ahead. I'm sorry.
One that actually dealt with the advent of sound coming in.
One of my favorite scenes in Singing in the Rain was when they were trying to film the 2 of them in the Dancing Cavalier with audio, and he kept yelling at her that the mic was in the bush, and then they kept having to add to her costume to get her mic wired in there. And just having been on film sets, that was hysterical to me, because I think people still struggle with that sometimes.
Well, from a production standpoint, that scene is hilarious. I absolutely agree with that.
It
Gabe,
is.
what were you going to say, Gabe?
Oh, I was just going to say how remarkably similar the plot line to The Artist was to Singing in the Rain.
Yeah.
And I guess I hadn't seen Singing in the Rain for a long time, so I didn't really put that together when we were talking about it last episode.
Well, this was my first time seeing it, and I loved it. I really enjoyed it.
I mean, you like movies about making movies too, so
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, that
It's
kind of
definitely
adds
up
to
your
it.
alley.
And these were both musicals about making musicals.
Yeah, that's true.
I gotta say about the writing for Singing in the
for
Rain, that movie is probably more quoted in our house than I'd never, hardly ever quote Moulin Rouge as much as I love it.
I bet you
But
say
I mean, we
chocolate a lot.
We launch into no, no, no,
Yes, yes, yes.
a lot.
I'm just picturing
Do
you
you
guys
do-
doing that.
Good morning. Good morning. Every morning.
sing that to
You
the
guys do
kids
that number every
constantly.
morning.
I bet every one of our children got sung that every morning while I changed their dirty little diaper every morning. That's what got me through, was singing that song.
For Moulin Rouge, in original drafts of the script, Satine had a 3-year-old child, and the story was told in flashbacks, told by Christian to the child. So there you go. All right, let's move on to our second
So
round.
for 3 weeks, I was banging your mom. That's awkward. Let's get that out.
Probably why they changed
And
it.
then she died of tuberculosis, which I'm dying
Right.
of currently.
It somehow, yeah. And now I am too.
And
Yeah.
now you
Go
have
back.
it.
What exactly were you guys doing when the Duke walked in?
All right,
That's ridiculous.
let's move on to our second round, which is acting.
I think both of these movies benefit from this is either like textbook good chemistry. I know I'm going to steal trivia. I know that you're probably going to talk about, but
That's fine.
it was
Go ahead.
it was going to be Leonardo DiCaprio and Courtney Love at one point
Oh,
in Moulin Rouge. If you
Yeah.
want to think about that for a second,
Really?
No,
but
thank
I
you.
think
Wow. Courtney Love.
all of these casts do a really great job with their chemistry and getting actors that just kind of instinctively work together. Moulin Rouge has the benefit of a much larger cast, but it's just solid all throughout. You know, from John Leguizamo all the way down to the smaller characters like Nini and the Argentinian,
Kylie Minogue.
and Kylie Minogue, the Green Fairy. Yeah, I think though
Is that who that was? I didn't know that.
the two characters that absolutely stand out for me and just make me the two characters that bring me back to the movie every single time I watch it. I want to say Richard Roxburgh, but I'm going to say Jim Broadbent in Moulin Rouge is got to be my favorite character in Moulin Rouge. I absolutely love him because he does such a full range between showman and big and happy and the sadness that he has to, when he's telling Satine the bad news. And then on the other side of Singing in the Rain, Gene Hagen absolutely makes Singing in the Rain so worth it.
yes.
And she was nominated for Academy Award for that role, and I think she should have won because it is one of my favorite roles. And
And I can't stand him.
That is awesome.
Steen him.
to know that was such a departure from her normal roles, that was a real stretch for her, and I think she did such a great job. And but I mean, if you want to parallel between the two, Richard Roxburgh and Gene Hagen, the two villains are really make these two movies a lot of fun too. So
yeah. Yep.
I had
Yeah.
let's vote.
Richard.
That was awesome.
Yeah, that's all we need.
I had wrote
All right,
down
enough
Richard
said.
Roxburgh and Jim Broadbent too, because they from Moulin Rouge. Because as creepy as Richard Roxburgh is, and difficult for just to watch him because he just makes your skin crawl. He did an awesome job at being that D-bag.
Yeah.
And then I didn't realize until I was watching Hot.
She can say whore, but not D-bag.
Yes.
Okay.
D-bag's fine.
Just learning
Yep.
learning where the line is
Yeah,
here.
yeah. It's a really blurry line. But I didn't put it together until I watched Moulin Rouge this time that Jim Broadbent was Constable Butterman or whatever in Hot Fuzz.
Yep.
Yeah.
So yeah, I was sitting there watching him as Harry Zidler, and I was like, I think that's the dad from Hot Fuzz. And then of course had to look it up. But in Singing in the Rain, Donald O'Connor was the one that just every time he was on screen, I was smiling.
Yeah.
Because it, like, his little one-liners and his facial expressions and the physical comedy of it, and he was just, that cracked me up.
I agree. I mean, he is a classic third wheel. Like in these movies from the 50s and 60s, they always have, you know, the third wheel, and they're always the comedy relief, and he's just brilliant as that.
And that's not to be bad said that the other characters weren't good too. Princess Leia's mom and Singing in the Rain and Obi-Wan Kenobi and Moulin Rouge, they were good too. Star Wars reference, chalk it off the list.
Oh my goodness.
I'll say it again for you, Tom. Nailed it.
Donald O'Connor I have to agree with that too. I mean, you can't walk away from Make 'em Laugh.
Oh no.
He's kind of like
So happy, and the kids our family loves this movie. The kids mimicking that whole thing, and oh my gosh, I can't believe we haven't been in the emergency room yet.
Say, how much
It's just
have they
so much
broke?
fun.
I would be surprised if he wasn't in the emergency room during filming.
They said he had to be. Oh, sorry. I'm sorry.
Oh
No, go ahead.
That's trivia.
Keep going. Keep going.
guess-
I feel like
He filmed-
he's like kind of an inspiration to Jim Carrey or something. He's like an early Jim Carrey to me.
Yeah.
With the physical humor and the facial expressions and that kind of thing.
Yeah. So I guess they filmed that scene, and then he was in bed for 3 days following that because it was so physically taxing. And then he got back to set, and Gene Kelly said, "Hey, can you do that again?" Because apparently the aperture or something on the camera was off, and so all the footage that he had done was blurry, so he had to do it a second time.
Yep.
What, they got
my
like
gosh.
the dailies back or something?
Yeah.
No.
Donald O'Connor recalled, I was smoking 4 packs of cigarettes a day then, and getting up those walls was murder. They had to bank one wall so I could make it up, and then through another wall. We filmed that whole sequence in one day. We did it on a concrete floor. My body had just had to absorb this tremendous shock. Things were building to such a crescendo that I thought I'd have to commit suicide for the ending. I came back on set 3 days later. All the grips applauded. Gene Kelly applauded, told me what a great number it was. Then Gene said, "Do you think you could do that number again?" I said, "Sure, anytime." He said, "Well, we're going to have to do it again tomorrow." No one had checked the aperture of the camera, and they fogged out all of the film. So the next day I did it again. By the end, my feet and ankles were massive bruises.
Wow.
There you go. Suffering for your art.
Yeah.
I know you guys were talking. What was the actor's name that played the Duke in Moulin Rouge?
Richard Roxburgh.
Every time I see him, I'm always like, holy crap, is that Gary Oldman? Like, he looks like Gary Oldman, a little bit. I don't know what it is, but I'm like, I didn't know Gary Oldman was in this, but it's not.
I'm not gonna agree with that. No.
No.
Yeah, I disagree with that too.
I see him and I think Gary Oldman. I don't know why. It's just something that I do. I'm not saying he does. It's just something I do.
Yeah, I haven't watched enough Harry Potter
What?
or Batman.
Yeah, but
I was
watch
trying
the
to
best
decide
Gary Oldman.
which
though.
haggis that was at first.
It was both of them, I think. I think it was both of them. I mean, I like him in The Professional. And in The Professional, he's got that, more blondish hair. It just sticks out to me. I don't know why. I just always, whenever I
You
see
need to watch that again. I don't think he has blonde hair in that. Nope.
Yeah, I
he
didn't
does.
think he did either.
like dirty blonde, isn't it?
Very, very dirty brunette, maybe, but maybe.
Don't question Lisa on Gary Oldman.
I still think he kind of looks.
Is that her?
Maybe you should check the color setting on your television.
Okay,
that was-
Lisa, it was nice to
Okay,
have you on the
okay,
show.
that was fine. That was below the belt. Got it. Yeah, I'm still just testing the water here.
Is Gary Oldman your celebrity exception?
Um,
If you,
no, not per se. It's just I've seen a lot of his
Is that like
movies.
Is that like your
multiple times.
list, Gabe? Like, is that
Well, I don't remember. That's probably not the right term for it. But,
Gary Oldman would be on my list. I don't care who you are.
Like, are you talking
I'll
about
even say
right?
it.
So
like you can't get in trouble?
Yeah, like if
Oh.
Lisa slept with Gary Oldman, Tom would have to say, okay, well that's your.
Speaking of acting, Moulin Rouge is what put Ewan McGregor to number 1 on my list. Like,
And there you go.
Nobody cries like Ewan McGregor. Oh
well,
my
okay,
god!
But like he is
cries like
the whole package. Like he can act. Like he's super talented actor. He can sing. He's amazing looking, and he was in Star Wars. How can you not appreciate that?
Yeah, but
And he
he's
was
kind
what?
of in
In
the
Star
lesser
Wars?
Star Wars.
Have you seen Velvet Goldmine?
No.
I've been to one.
Oh, Amanda,
Wow.
come over and watch Velvet Goldmine.
I don't know. Is it one that
Is
I'm
Gary
going to
Oldman
want to be
also
by
in it?
myself to watch it?
Okay, this is getting all right. Acting, guys.
The boys
acting.
can go out and do whatever boys
I
do.
love Velvet Goldmine.
They'll go to a Velvet Goldmine
It
while
is.
we watch
It is
Velvet
Obi-Wan
Goldmine.
Kenobi and Batman. I hadn't thought of it like that. That is so.
Obi-Wan Kenobi and Batman get it on. Velvet Goldmine. It's a great movie. We lose a connection?
Full frontal.
Isn't he in Young Adam too?
Is it real?
Yeah. He doesn't
Or is it-
hesitate to take it all off.
No, he's very, very open about that. And
Hang on,
that's
I've got the full frontal Ewan McGregor
that's-
app on my phone.
and
Let's see.
again, I think I've only been on this show twice, but I think I will just go ahead and go on record again as saying is there's just not enough full frontal male. And I think there's a reason for that because most of them look ridiculous.
Yes.
You said that last time.
It's
I
for
know.
utility. We're utility.
Wearing pants now. Why is this?
Yeah, is that appealing to women? Like
No,
full
it's
frontal
not.
male?
No,
Is
it's
that
not.
appealing?
For
I
the
like
most
that
part,
Ewan
it's not.
McGregor is more than willing to level that playing field and be like, if women have to do it, I'm more than happy to do it too, and I'm, in this case, more than happy to watch.
Okay, acting.
Oh, acting!
Yeah,
Yes,
yeah,
acting
we-
for Moulin
generally-
Rouge and Singing in the Rain.
Yes, we generally limit the voting to these particular movies. So Full Frontal in Velvet Goldmine does not count against this particular vote. Although you can keep that in the back of your head. If you, I don't care.
Moulin Rouge. I never actually talked about the acting, but I think the era that Singing in the Rain was made in, there was just the way that is acted is just not ever been appealing to me, period. It's all very grand and mechanical, and I would get very high school drama to me. Everything's just overdone. And again, very flat and no depth to it. And I think Moulin Rouge, everything has more depth. Everybody stretched their limits. I really got to hand it to Nicole Kidman. I would never in a million years have thought she could have pulled that off. And I thought she pulled it off well. I'm not saying she's the greatest singer, but I think she pulled that off well.
Speaking of Full Frontal, oh, never mind.
Closer? No, not Closer. What's the other one?
The
Way
one
to
with
go,
her
Gabe.
ex.
With her
What?
ex?
Oh, Eyes Wide Shut.
Eyes wide shut.
Eyes Wide Shut.
But there you go.
I haven't
Anyway,
even seen it.
okay.
I know.
I think it's bizarre.
I've seen that part. Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Anyone else
Interesting.
want to
Anyway,
add
on
anything
back-
to acting?
Yes, just really quick. I wanted to say that along with Lisa's point that the acting in Singing in the Rain, maybe because it's an early film and they're relatively early, it seems more like stage acting than
Yeah.
Yeah.
film acting.
Yeah.
There's no subtlety to it.
No.
Exactly.
But with Moulin Rouge, I felt like a lot of the acting was over the top a little bit. But I don't credit that to the actors. I thought the actors did a really great job. I credit that over topness to a little bit to the directing, and we can talk about that in the next category a little bit.
Really? Baz Luhrmann over the top? What?
no.
Yeah,
He's
way,
not over
like-
the top.
like ridiculous,
No.
kind of campy over the top. And maybe that was the intention. And if it was the intention, they succeeded beautifully. But the acting, they did have moments of subtlety and depth, like Lisa mentioned. And so I appreciated that in Moulin Rouge.
I think in a way, Moulin Rouge would have been harder to act. I don't know. I'm not an actor. But I think the emotional dynamic that you had to reach to within that was a much greater spectrum than what you would have had to do for Singing in the Rain. And that's just the style of the movie, and you needed actors that had a much greater range than Singing in the Rain.
And the subject matter, and the situations they were in, they're in these, they're drinking absinthe and it's getting all crazy, and then there are these moments of great levity where they're like they're on the verge of dying, and there's
she's about to be raped.
right, exactly. And I thought that Chocolat, or however you say it in French, I thought he killed the Duke at first when he came.
So
I didn't realize he just rendered him unconscious. And then I'm like, oh, what are they going to do about this? Because I'm like, this is going to be a big problem if they killed him. How are they going to get out of this? And anyway.
I loved when Debbie Reynolds was talking about the acting in silent films. How she was emoting in the car. That makes me giggle every time I think about it.
I thought,
makes you think about it.
Too, it seemed like I know the dance numbers and everything for Moulin Rouge were big and elaborate, but the lead actors didn't seem to have a lot of really complex choreography. Not to the same extent in Moulin Rouge as the leads did in Singin' in the Rain.
But hang on, I do have to delineate here as far as, because Tom does dancing go in with, where are we talking about dancing and choreography? Because that's something that should be talked about, but does that go into acting?
Well, I'm thinking on the demands of the actors. I'm just thinking of for the actors specifically. The demands on them in dancing.
The performance of the dancing should be with acting.
Yes.
And the choreography and how it fits into the movie should be directing.
Sure.
Well, and then what do you do with that? Because Singing in the Rain was a bunch of people known for dancing, acting, and a bunch of people in Moulin Rouge known for acting were dancing. So.
And Gene Kelly directed Singing in the Rain. There you go.
Yes.
That's.
Oh, that's not. Well, this.
Nobody can see my mind blown here.
I saw it.
Okay.
We definitely heard it though.
Yes.
All right.
Yeah.
It's huge.
All right.
Where are we at?
I don't know. I checked out at Ewan McGregor's Full Frontal, to be honest.
That's all he's
You're
been
watching
thinking about
it right now.
I am.
You keep Pillow Book under your pillow, and you've got it there right now. You're watching it.
You will never look at Obi-Wan Kenobi's lightsaber the same way again.
Oh my god.
If you guys want to talk about the dancing for the actors, that's fine. But if you want to talk about how they put it all together, I would save that for directing. So if you have anything to add for dancing, go right on ahead. Or singing.
Then I say Amanda has a good point.
I agree too. That I didn't feel like the dancing was very complicated for the main actors in Moulin Rouge, whereas obviously the numbers that they did in Singin' in the Rain were amazing.
I'll give you that.
And,
where do costumes go in with this? By the way, while we're talking about where we're placing
overall.
everything, where do costumes
maybe
go?
overall the
That's
last
overall?
category.
Okay.
It does get a little blurry with these kinds of movies. It's true.
It does. We usually have this problem with documentaries.
That's another good example. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's all blurry.
All right. Anything more to add
Let's vote.
to acting? All right, Tom.
Gene Hagen, Singing in the Rain.
All right. Gabe.
As far as acting, I'm going to go with Moulin Rouge.
Lisa.
Moulin Rouge.
Amanda.
Singin' in the Rain.
Wow. All right. The Singing in the Rain number took all day to set up, and Gene Kelly was very ill, some say with a fever of over 101. When it was all set up, Kelly insisted on doing a take, even though the blocking was only rudimentary, starting and ending positions only, and the director was ready to send him home. He ad-libbed most of it, and it only took one take. which is what you see on film. So that was all done in one take, which is amazing. And after seeing it for the first time, I love that part. I can't believe
especially when you're coordinating all the stuff with the water.
Oh yeah,
coming down the downspout and all that.
Yeah,
and the other actors, the policemen at the end, and
it's great.
Pretty incredible.
So for Moulin Rouge, Catherine Zeta-Jones and Heath Ledger were contenders to play Satine and Christian. Other possible Christians included Hugh Jackman, Jake Gyllenhaal, and Ronan Keating. Other possible Satines included Renee Zellweger, Natalie Mendoza, Charlene Spiteri, and Sophie Ellis-Bextor. Tim Wheeler of the rock band Ash auditioned for the lead role of Christian, which led him to write the track Orpheus. Courtney Love auditioned for Satine and allowed Baz Luhrmann to use Nirvana's Smells Like Teen Spirit in the opening sequence. A rare case of allowing her late husband Kurt Cobain's work to be used in film or TV, and I just have to say thank God she was not in that movie. All right.
Which I asked Tom if the Courtney Love story is true, that she didn't make the cut, because you want to tell that? You want to tell that little bit of trivia?
Courtney Love and they were both up for it, and it came down to the two of them, and Boz said that Nicole Kidman is ice and Courtney Love is fire, and I want ice.
Yeah, there you go.
Which, to me, I wondered how they got the Nirvana songs, because was she in charge of releasing the rights to those? And I would think she'd be the type to hold a little bit of a grudge.
That's what I thought, too.
Unless they gave him the rights before they cast. When he was putting the script together and they're putting their songs together, and like, we'd like to use this song in this part. And she's like, yeah, can I audition for it? Sure.
So she let that chip go a little too soon.
She said that this prompted Love to remark that Kidman was a puddle and dedicate the song Miss World, a song about self-loathing beauty queen, to Kidman on her 1999 tour with the band Hole.
Bitter.
Yep, bitter. So bitter.
Bitter. All right, let's move on to directing.
I wish I would have thought about this a little bit more now that I realized the division is there. As far as choreography goes, I think that part of me wants to say it's a draw, because if you go back and watch the extras, like a big nerd on Moulin Rouge, and watch the work that was put into those large numbers, especially Roxanne and the Can, and looking what they did. As much as I love how that movie was edited, you could have put that together in so many ways. And for the most part, I'm usually not the type to like movies that have the quick cuts and it's just too much. But for some reason in this movie, it worked to the point oh, shush you. I loved it. But it did cut out a lot of these beautifully choreographed numbers. You didn't get to see a lot of what was originally there versus Singing in the Rain. That's what it was all about. And I mean, that's amazing choreography in and of itself. It's just, I don't think you really get to see it as much in Moulin Rouge. And because the focus is the actors, the main actors who didn't have really great choreography, it was just, everybody kind of dancing around them, which kind of made them look better. Singing in the Rain's got it for choreography. As far as editing goes, I don't feel like, and strike me down because I don't edit like other people in the room, but I didn't really get that Singing in the Rain was a lot of difficult editing. I mean,
it's very
long,
cookie cutter.
Yeah, it's very there wasn't a lot of creativity there with that. Whereas Moulin Rouge, I think that was terribly creative, and there was a lot going. Oh, I'm getting the look from Tom. Wow.
Are you getting the look because you're taking his talking points?
I know
because
that
he
look.
Disagrees with you?
I just don't feel like there was a lot of creativity going on with the editing. So choreography maybe to Singing in the Rain, editing would go to Moulin Rouge, and then what else do I have to put in there? Cinematography. Wow, that's well, you say that like I know something, but I assume this is your turf a little bit more than mine. Talk physical therapy, I'll let you know. But we're talking about the look of everything. I love the look of Moulin Rouge. And I felt like, again, that era that Singing in the Rain was made in, there's better cinematography to be had, and they didn't really do anything with it. That movie was about the music and the dancing and the comedy, and I feel like they didn't really put too much into the look of it, other than Sid Charisse's number, which we can all agree we have no idea why that's there. I'm not even sure they filmed it for that movie. Maybe it was for another movie, and they just decided to dig up that footage. So that's 2 for Moulin Rouge, 1 for Singing in the Rain. So that's what I'm looking at.
All right, anyone else?
I don't like Jill Bilcock's editing. When I saw it for the first time, I really liked it, and I was like, wow, she should get an Oscar. That was really, really great editing. And now that I've seen it about 12 times, she uses so much slow motion, and it's almost like a crutch for her that Boz didn't get the shot and didn't hold on a shot long enough. And there's just like really just random crap that's just like, why is that slow-mo? And you can tell when they do, and we've talked about this before, but when they do slow-mo in camera, and they, actually speed the film up to get a proper slow motion, and when they do it post-process, and they have a computer do it, and it's just not as smooth. And nearly all the shots are post-process slow motion, which means that Jill Bilcock went in and, slowed a shot to 50, 25%. And there's a ton of it. There's like 200 slow motion shots in there that were just used to fill time and elongate shots. And why wasn't Boz getting those shots on the set? It seems like he just like shot crazy, and then she just had to put this together. And I don't know, there's just I looking back on it, I don't like her editing now. I think it's too frenetic. I think some of it's great, some of the smash edits and stuff work really well, and some of the editing during the dancing is pretty good. But on one hand, see, I would normally walk into this and say Tango de Roxanne for the directing and the cinematography and the choreography should win. That one song could win this category for me for Moulin Rouge. But then I started thinking about that slow-mo, and it just makes me just, ugh. I just don't get it.
Still, but I think
I'm
what
right
she
there
did
with
was
you.
still way more creative than Singing in the Rain ever. I mean, you didn't try to do anything with Singing in the Rain. I mean, did they?
Choreography, though. Choreography in Singing in the Rain is really good.
No, you were talking about editing, though, not choreography.
I know, but I'm saying directing overall. I'm saying that the slow-mo in it is so bad, it detracts from everything else in this category for me.
Disagree.
Because I feel it's poor directing. I just don't feel he did his job on set and left her having to take these shortcuts, put it together.
Disagree.
I'm with you, Tom. I was watching it when Amanda was watching it. I was able to catch that scene because I too really like the Roxanne scene. And I just remember seeing all these cuts, and I'm like, why are they cutting like this? Like, and then, when they get caught, when the owner of the Moulin Rouge catches them kissing. Like, there's that scene where they're kissing and it goes to slow mo, and I'm like, wait, that wasn't shot in slow motion. And it just watching certain parts. I mean, I love some of the cuts that they use creative wise, but I think I think you're right. I think they just shot, and then we're like, here's all the footage. Good luck. I think that's really possible. But I mean, on the scenes where they do those really great transitions, like when she's walking out, the show must go on or whatever, and then she ends up in Ewan McGregor's, at his door. She walks in. I think that's great, and I think that was planned. But I mean, some of the other stuff is just kind of tossed in there, and it just bugs me. And some of it I enjoy, and other parts I'm like, no, stay on that. I want to see that type of situation. And as far as Singing in the Rain is concerned, I mean, they weren't really doing a lot back then as far as editing. It was very, you go from this here to here to here to here. They didn't have many options for movement. They didn't have very many options to do the tricks that they had in 2001. Not, let alone what they can do now in 2016. So we always try to remember we've got to watch the movies for when they were released, and we got to get in that mindset. We've had that problem just like last time. We had that problem with trying to get in the mindset of a film that was, when did City Lights come out, Tom? Do you remember?
39.
Yeah, so we were comparing a film from 39 to, what was it, 08 or 07?
Yeah.
And we had to put ourselves in the mindset of the film that was made in 1937.
But I still think there's something to be said for doing something that's not being done in every single movie.
Oh, well, right.
Because, like, I agree with Lisa. Like, Moulin Rouge, you guys might not have liked how it turned out, but they were trying to do something that was very different and didn't look and feel like everything else that was coming out at that time, where Singin' in the Rain was kind of, that's what they were doing. And you had you had Gene Kelly directing a musical where he was dancing that looks like other musicals where he's dancing. It didn't look any different. It didn't feel, I mean, yes, it achieved a level of success that some of the other ones didn't, but I don't think it was because of the direction.
Well, and I'm not saying that Moulin Rouge is a horrible film by any stretch of the means. I mean, it's a great film. It's just there's certain times where that cutting bothers me. So I'm just saying that I'm standing with Tom, and I'll use him as a meat shield to deflect your and Lisa's attack.
I didn't. And maybe,
Okay. Here, let's put this into perspective, okay? And I'm backing up Amanda here because I'm googling movies made from 1950 to 1959. People were capable of doing some way better editing. I mean, we've got Bridge on the River Kwai, we've got Some Like It Hot, Cane Mutiny, Vertigo. I mean, you can't. Rear Window. I mean, Hitchcock was like doing stuff, okay?
Well,
and
but he was like the Baz Luhrmann of his generation. Like he was stretching the genres. Like he was reigniting the genre.
Okay, but your slow-mo thing.
So why not do that?
And maybe
Go ahead, Amanda.
because I'm in the same boat as Lisa. I don't do editing, so I probably don't look at those edits the same way that somebody who actually actively edits video would look at them. But I didn't, as an audience member, I noticed those slow-mos too, but like when Harry catches them and it slows down for that minute, to me that's, when something significant happens in your life or something major happens, or even maybe not even something major, somebody knocks over a glass of wine on the carpet or whatever, and it just, in your mind, everything just kind of comes to a crawl and you just see it in slow motion. And that's what when a lot of those slow-mos were, like when they got caught, because he was seeing that and realizing he could lose everything, and that's how I perceived it when I was watching it.
Well, no,
nodding my head up and down, yes, repeatedly.
We're not saying that they didn't use slow-mo in the right context. We're saying that they used it bothers us
how it was shot.
How it was shot.
Okay.
Not that slow-mo's perfectly fine for those situations, but it's just I watch a lot of Hong Kong action films, and they have that same problem where they did not shoot something in slow-mo and they go ahead and crank it down to do slow-mo, and you can tell, and it just kind of pops out at me. Right, Tom? That's what we're saying?
Yeah. I mean, God help me, I'm going to defend Zack Snyder here, but he's somebody who shoots slow motion on set because he knows how the edit's going to come together.
Yes.
I think it's probably the one thing he does really well.
Yes.
And that's not what Boz did. Boz it didn't seem like he really knew what it was going to look like when it was done. So in that aspect, I mean, kudos to Joe Bilcock for putting it together and getting a really entertaining, cohesive story out of what Boz gave her. But I mean, that's why I guess I have less of a problem with her and more of a problem with what Boz did.
Right. I
do want to say that
all we're saying.
The Roxanne number is like my favorite musical number in all of the musical movies I've ever seen. I absolutely love it.
I want to be able to dance like that.
Chill.
Like that makes me want to go take dance lessons so that I can do that.
Yeah. And it was, I mean, it wasn't just it wasn't like a Singin' in the Rain movie or Singin' in the Rain number. It it told a story.
Yeah.
And all of the dance moves like helped move the story along. And I mean, it was like the epitome of a really well done, perfect dance number.
So my editors in the room, here's what I would love to see is what I want you to flip this in your mind. What if they had shot Singin' in the Rain like they or edited Singin' in the Rain like they'd done Moulin Rouge and vice versa? What would that look like?
That'd be the greatest movie of all time. They did make Moulin Rouge like that, though.
Yeah.
There is a Moulin Rouge that came out, what, 1954?
Oh, you're talking about... Oh,
No,
yeah.
1952, same year as Singin' in the Rain.
Yep.
Oh.
Yep.
See, and we don't even know about it, so...
Yeah. It's...
I don't know, I think Singin' in the Rain cut like Moulin Rouge would be sweet.
Well, but for
I think
Singin' in the
actually
Rain...
get through Sid's number.
Well,
I think
for-
that's a challenge to you guys.
For Singin' in the Rain, no, you go for the dancing. Like, you go for the dancing, you go for the... the reason why it's in the top 5 movies of all time is it's for the dance. It's just for the atmosphere, the dancing, the singing, all that. And
well, and then also someone had mentioned earlier that some of the editing in Moulin Rouge kind of stomped on some of the great choreography. Whereas if they had edited Singing in the Rain in the same fashion, maybe we wouldn't have been able to enjoy the great choreography. Mm-hmm. And thus, you don't get a lot of quick cutting and that kind of thing because that would detract from those particular dance numbers.
Right. And the reason why you do some of the quick cutting is because you actually use multiple takes of whatever you're shooting. So, I mean, that happens a lot in action films. I mean, a lot of people think it's just to keep the pace going, but it's actually because they need to hide where the actors are not actually hitting each other or where they're trying to cover up some flubs of what happened. And that's why, there's a big following of Jackie Chan because he tries not to do that. He looks at it like a Gene Kelly thing where you try not to cut. You just let it go. And so you can see that they're actually doing it.
Or a Charlie Chaplin thing.
Yeah, there you go. Yeah. Or Buster Keaton.
Fair enough, but I think we can all see through Singing in the Rain how sometimes that worked and sometimes it just made things a little bit boring. Let's go get some popcorn and a Coke.
Oh, yeah. Well, I mean, I think there was a cut in Singing in the Rain that I saw, and I'm like, wait, it looks like they shaved off 3 seconds because it was in a...
Caesar number?
It was... What was that?
During the Sid Caesar number when she's like sliding down his leg?
Yes. Yes.
Yeah.
It jumped.
It's because the sensors.
Oh.
Really?
Really?
Yeah. If you, yeah.
Oh yeah, there's something. There's some fun
wouldn't-
trivia I've got for that.
Oh, where their pelvises line up, we just jump past that.
Yeah.
But that scene, I love the look of that scene. I can't help it. I don't know why. I like the pastel runway. I really do. I like that scene. It does not belong in the film at all, but I love that scene.
So
I
if
thought it was
just
great.
a music video.
Right. I would love it. Gabe, you haven't said much. We haven't allowed you to say much. What would you like to say?
Well, I feel like the editing in Moulin Rouge was pretty frenetic, and at times it was almost nauseating. I kind of got it. I kind of understood what they were going for, but it's at times it was way too much. Like I almost wanted to look away from the screen because I was spinning. I'm like, God, slow it down a little bit. I don't even know what just happened because there were so many cuts, and it was so and the scenery was so opulent, and there was so much going on all at once. It was just kind of dizzying, and so I frankly in many cases didn't enjoy it, and I enjoyed it a lot more when it slowed down, when there were moments when it didn't call for that kind of editing, and we got to enjoy the opulent scenery, the beautiful colors, the great lighting, the just beautiful cinematography in that movie. But so many times it just resorted to this whole like in your face kind of thing. It kind of turned me off a little bit to it. And then we've been talking a lot about how the differences between the editing and how there's not really a lot of, fancy editing and Singing in the Rain and that kind of thing. Well, and when I think about that, I do think about it in its historical context, and I think about the equipment that they had available to them to do not only the editing but also the filming. What kind of cameras did they have? What kind of rigs did they have to move them around? And if you look at it and you think about that classic scene of two singing in the rain where he's actually dancing out in the rain, and think about the technical challenges that they had to pull that off with the equipment that they had available at the time, it's pretty remarkable. And the camera moves around a lot.
Yeah.
There's not a lot of editing, but the camera movement is pretty incredible in that scene. There's a little bit of rough editing. There's some jump cuts, some kind of weird things in Singing in the Rain. Yes. Editing is definitely not a strong point. But like I said before, I'm not sure that it needed it. I feel like it may have detracted if there was this kind of fast cutting. And with the editing equipment that they had at the time, I don't know that they had a lot of chance to do that. It certainly wasn't the kind of thing where you're going to go and you're going to take your working copy of the film and cut it up a whole bunch of different ways to try to get it just right. So I feel like it's a little bit unfair to compare them in that respect because of the technologies available to them at the time. You could do a lot more quick editing. You could do a lot of different iterations of it for Moulin Rouge than you possibly could have ever done in the time of Singing in the Rain.
Well, and I think the original of Singing in the Rain was destroyed in a fire. The original negative.
The original print, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, really?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and I assume that was well after it had been cut and released.
I believe so. Yes.
Yeah. But I just I felt like at times that the editing in Moulin Rouge was almost nauseating, and it was almost a little too much. I did appreciate the opulent scenery, the what do they call it? The set direction, the
art direction.
I mean,
Or
what's
set
that?
design.
Set design,
Yeah,
art
like
direction.
set design and art direction in it. Although sometimes I felt like that was a little too much too. There was so much going on in every single frame; it was almost hard to know what to focus on. But the editing was solid. It was just wow. It was just almost too much. And it was funny, Tom, when you mentioned the slow motion. When I saw that in the movie, I totally thought of you. I'm like, Tom is going to hate this. I knew you would immediately when I saw it. I was like, and I get it because the way they do that, because they didn't shoot it, by over cranking the camera and actually capturing those frames, they have to duplicate frames in order to slow that down. And it creates a little bit of a weird kind of choppy motion that doesn't look very natural as a slow motion.
Yeah, like an alias scene almost. Like a trail.
Oh, what?
Like a trailing effect almost, kind of.
Yeah, because it gets kind of pixelated.
Yeah.
It's grainy.
Well, and I wondered if they zoomed in on some of those frames too, because you got a little bit of grain.
I think it looked like it in the one where she was dancing and he was pointing out the Duke, but she saw Ewan McGregor. That scene looked like that one looked weird to me.
Yeah. I could see that, but I mean, also it could be a style choice. We're talking about the editing, and it could have been Baz Luhrmann saying, okay, use everything, use it all, and that's what makes Moulin Rouge. I mean, Amanda showed this to me when we first started dating, and I loved it, and I still really like the movie, and there's some style choices in there that are very off the wall, yet they work, but yeah, it's just that little bit of the editing just bothers me. That's all. Should we move on to the vote? Let's do that.
Mm-hmm.
Lisa.
Moulin Rouge.
Moulin Rouge. All right. Amanda.
Moulin Rouge.
All right. Tom.
Singing in the Rain.
Gabe.
Wow, this one's really split for me. This one is split the way we talked about it. There's some in one category, some for Moulin Rouge that works, some that for Singing in the Rain. I don't know where to go. I think I'm gonna go Singing in the Rain too.
Oh man. Okay. Yeah, you guys are really split. I mean, like 50-50 split all the way down.
You may actually have to vote, Mike.
I may have to vote. Thanks. For Singing in the Rain, Donald O'Connor admitted that he did not enjoy working with Gene Kelly since Kelly was somewhat of a tyrant. O'Connor said that the first several weeks he was terrified of making a mistake and being yelled at by Kelly. And Moulin Rouge is dedicated to Baz Luhrmann's father, Leonard Luhrmann, who died just as filming was about to begin. There you go. Let's move on to our fourth and our final round, which is overall.
First time that I saw this movie was, I think it was about a week after I graduated from high school. So, sorry, that dates me. But I think I saw it 3 or 4 times, Moulin Rouge 3 or 4 times in the theater. Loved it. Going into this, I thought hands down Moulin Rouge is going to take every category for me. But I really, really liked Singin' in the Rain. I just thought it was just fun and different, and I must be like Mike and like movies about making movies. But I really enjoyed it, and I loved all these bright, vibrant costumes that Lady Gaga's costumes would pale in comparison to, like that opening scene on the red carpet where they're all the stars are arriving. And the dancing was fun, and the songs get stuck in your head, and I just really, really liked that one more than I thought I was going to.
That's it? That's all you got?
I think so. I don't know. There'll probably be something else that comes up.
Okay, everybody, go ahead. Anyone else?
I think so. A lot of times with this category, we talk about repeatability, but I'm pretty sure I'm going to watch both these movies a couple dozen times at least. I don't know which one I end up watching more down the road. And I know you guys talked about like the down note that Moulin Rouge ends on and everything else, but I think when I think of Moulin Rouge and I look at it up on the shelf, all I can think about is how much fun I have when I'm watching that movie. I love the way the love story begins and how it's carried through, and I really love how it ends. I was watching this while I was running on the treadmill, and you have to picture this. So I'm watching Moulin Rouge, and it gets to the big climax at the end, and I am clapping and hooting and hollering at my TV while I'm running on the treadmill, and I almost fell off again. So I mean, I was completely into it, and I love Moulin Rouge despite its flaws, and I just have an absolute ball every time I watch it. Whereas Singing in the Rain, I like Singing in the Rain, but I love parts of it.
You're right.
But but Moulin Rouge, I have a great time from beginning to end. And Singing in the Rain, there are parts that I just love pieces of it. I don't know if I actually love every second of it. As I said, I don't, because Beautiful Girl sucks. I mean, were they selling clothes? Was that an advertisement? I don't know what that was. And all the fashions were not good fashion. They were bad fashion. And there's like, this number will date this movie, and it will age horribly in the next 3 years.
Right.
And the things he says, some of them don't really rhyme. I hate it when people do that. So it's bad rhyming, bad fashion, and the song makes no sense whatsoever.
Down, Tomatron. Down. Back.
Is it back?
No, it's not back. I'm just saying down.
Tomatron. I thought it was Robot Boy. What say you, Lisa?
This one is where I can put in costumes.
Sure, throw them in. Whatever.
Okay,
Yeah.
so I believe I got this off the extras because I've probably watched every piece of footage I could possibly find on this movie. I loved it so much. And because of the way it was edited, I was always curious about what some of these dance numbers actually would have looked like if you had had like one big long shot of them. But all of the what did Gabe talk about? The set decoration and all of the art and all of the color and way that's all put together. One of my favorite, I don't know if you want to call it pieces of trivia about this that I learned from watching all of this is all of the can-can dancers. And what I learned was that I didn't realize this, but back when can-can dancers actually existed, what was under the skirt was nothing.
Mm-hmm.
That's why it was so fabulous to see this and get all of these flashes of nudity when that was just such a naughty, naughty, naughty thing to do then. And to see, and they knew they couldn't do that for this movie. So the costume designer had to figure out what to do with these skirts. And the idea was all of them were their own flowers with everything in the middle. That's why everything's so colorful underneath is, the petals, and then the center of the flower would have been what you would have seen. And I love that people put that kind of thought and detail into this. And like Tom said, we do repeatability in this house. We go to a movie and if we decide, are we going to buy it or not? How many times are we going to watch it? And you could watch either of these movies over and over. But if I break this down by the Lisa edit, I've got to cut a lot more out of the sound. See, look, I said Sound of Music again because I looked at the poster. I've got to cut a lot more out of Singin' in the Rain. I mean, that could be a much shorter movie in my world. And there's not a lot I would cut out of Moulin Rouge.
Just 5 minutes.
Just depending on the day, might cut the last 5 minutes. But even, I love the music over the end credits. I don't know why. I like the perpetual motion, the rhythm. That song could go on forever and it really wouldn't bother me that much. It's an earworm for me. So overall, as far as looking at just the look and the innovativeness and the vision of it, everything for me goes towards Moulin Rouge. Even though Singing in the Rain, it has that iconic status that Moulin Rouge never will have.
That's for me.
Yeah, as far as the repeatability is concerned, I don't know that I would want to watch either movie all the way through again. But there are definitely
You're gonna get
parts
voted off the
of
island.
both that I would watch over and over. There are certain numbers in Singin' in the Rain that I would watch over and over. And the same goes for Moulin Rouge. Yeah, there are certain parts of Moulin Rouge that I definitely enjoyed more. And I think it was in part because they were edited less frenetically. Like Tom mentioned, the whole Roxanne number in Moulin Rouge. That's pretty cool. And there's some pretty interesting editing going on there. But it's really cool cross-cutting that's telling a story. It's telling two stories at once, at the same time. And it's relating these two stories to each other. And that's really cool. And I would watch that sequence again, And I would definitely watch the Singing in the Rain sequence again, or, Make 'em Laugh again. Those kinds of things. But I don't know that I'd want to sit through the entire movie of either of them again. I don't know. Maybe that's just me.
I would definitely watch. I mean, I'm gonna watch both of them again. I mean, Amanda loves Moulin Rouge, and I kind of want to own Singing in the Rain just so I can, throw in and watch, Make 'em Laugh. I had no idea that Good Morning was made popular by Singing in the Rain. I'd heard that opening tune hundreds of times in my lifetime, and I never had any idea. I don't know. I'm kind of depressed that it took me this long to watch Singing in the Rain, but I really enjoyed it. What do you guys say about any of the? I know we talked a lot about the music, but Lisa brings up a good point. Nowadays, we can do that fast cutting. What if we were to do a Singing in the Rain? What would you guys want to see in it? Like, would you try and do the melody or the medleys like in Moulin Rouge? Would you try to cut faster? What would you change besides Tom's favorite scene?
The runway scene?
Not the runway scene, the the beautiful girl.
Oh. I was thinking of a second favorite scene.
Anyone have anything on that?
I'd actually leave Beautiful Girl in, and I'd make it cool.
And relevant?
It wouldn't take place in the movie industry. It would move to the music industry. And I think it would be about somebody jumping genres in the music industry. And then you'd use pop music and like classic songs from the 90s. And it would be about somebody trying to evolve their musical persona. That's what I'd do.
Oh my gosh, that was a really good answer. Did you stay up all night thinking of that?
No, I just thought about that just now. Mike said, how would you do Singing right now? That's how I do Singing right now.
That's why I like to ask these off the wall questions, because usually these guys
I would cast somebody really good, and Courtney Love, and then
And Courtney Love.
You had me
and then I pick
until
the other
that.
person.
Okay.
I don't know.
I'd cast The Rock. And Mark
No, he
Wahlberg.
already jumped.
He's in
musical
everything right now.
genres,
You got
though.
it. He's going to get
Doesn't
overexposed.
Hugh Jackman have to be in it?
Yeah,
It has to be Hugh Jackman. Yeah,
Oh yeah, Hugh Jackman's.
because he
funny.
can actually sing and dance and
Yeah.
all those things. Yeah.
I'd put Hugh Jackman and John Hamm and just like fuck with people. And they'd be like, wait, Hugh Jackman?
What were you gonna say, Gabe?
Well, I really hesitate to even think about remaking classic films because I think that's just fraught with danger and almost inevitably results in failure. And every time I see that someone is remaking some classic film, I'm like, oh, you can't do that.
Right.
Don't touch that. Don't even go there because it's not necessary.
like
Why do you
MC
think that needs an update?
Does that mean
What's
you're
that?
not going to go see my remake of Casablanca?
See, exactly. No, because
Justin
Tom,
Bieber and Selena Gomez. You should love it.
Oh,
oh my God,
I just threw up
Tom,
in my mouth
I
a little
respect you and your talent very much, but I would not go see that because I think that's a risky business to get into there. So I'm not even going to think about it. I don't even want to think about it. Can you guys think, this is really kind of a bit of a tangent, but maybe a quick one. Can you guys think of a
There's never a
remake of a
quick
classic film that was actually as good or better than?
bit. Oh.
Tom really liked True Grit.
Yeah,
Yeah.
so did I.
What about Moulin
That
Rouge?
was pretty close.
Well, Moulin Rouge. I mean,
Moulin Rouge. There you go. Thank you, Amanda. Case-
good job, honey.
Duh.
I don't know. I was really against Ocean's 11 when they announced that it was going to come out, but I really enjoyed the remake. I still love the original, but I really, really enjoy the remake.
And,
Okay, well, maybe there's some room for success there, but a lot of times when I think about it, I think about remakes of classic films. It's like, why are you even going there?
Well,
You know?
I guess the remake of Moulin Rouge wasn't the remake of a classic because the first one was nobody knows about that, so
Right.
that probably wouldn't count.
Well, true.
Well, Singing in the Rain, I don't think necessarily you have to remake a classic as much as just cut the really crappy stuff out of it, and it'd be pretty good.
Just recut it.
Again, recut, Lisa, edit, we're good to go.
Lisa, edit.
That's what
All right,
I
well,
think.
we'll
If
be
you just
waiting for the
re-edited
Lisa.
the existing, I think would be better than trying to redo it. Although Tom's recommendation did sound pretty amazing.
I know. I can't top that.
Yeah, that's pretty good. All right, let's move on to our vote. Amanda,
Moulin Rouge.
Tom,
Moulin Rouge.
Lisa,
This is overall
Overall.
yes,
Moulin Rouge.
Gabe,
Huh. I don't know, it's tough. I'm gonna go.
That's a good
I gotta go
response.
Singing in the Rain. I don't know.
all right.
It's a tough one.
All right. Here, I've been looking all over for this trivia, and I knew I had read it earlier today. I have two of them for Singing in the Rain. Filming of the Sid Charisse dance number had to be stopped for several hours after it was discovered that her pubic hair was visible through her costume. When the problem was finally fixed, the film's costume designer, Walter Plunkett, said, and I quote, "It's okay, guys. We finally got Sid's crotch licked." End quote.
That's good.
Which is funny because that's exactly what happened on The 7-Year Itch in that iconic scene with Marilyn Monroe is they kept having to stop filming because
They had to do a little trimming.
apparently that was a problem in the 50s.
In Singing in the Rain, in the Would You number, Kathy Selden, Debbie Reynolds, is dubbing the voice of Lena Lamont, Jane Hagen, because Lena's voice is shrill and screechy. However, it's not Reynolds who is really speaking. It's Jean Hagen herself, who actually had a beautiful, deep, rich voice. So you have Jean Hagen dubbing Debbie Reynolds, dubbing Jean Hagen. And when Debbie is supposedly dubbing Jean singing of Would You, the The voice you hear singing actually belongs to Betty Noyce, who had a much richer singing voice than Debbie. So there's a 6 degrees of Kevin Bacon for you. Or 7 degrees, whatever that is.
In a movie about some of the first movies with sound.
Right. Yep. Boy, there's so much out there for Moulin Rouge, too. Leonardo DiCaprio flunked an audition in which he was required to sing. Let's see.
Well, going
Did they
back
give
to
him
the
grades
point
like
about who was doing what voice for who and Singing in the Rain, that just leads me towards acting for Moulin Rouge even more, because they did their own talking and singing. And
no,
Did each of them sing their own parts?
Well, so I remember when that movie came out, and that was a big deal, I guess, to Baz Luhrmann, was that everybody be able to sing and do their own parts. But Richard Roxburgh, when he was doing the Like a Virgin, he didn't sing that himself.
that was an
somebody
opera
else.
singer.
oh, he didn't.
Yeah, that was an
somebody
opera
else.
singer.
Oh,
But I think he was the only, to my knowledge, he's the only one that didn't. So I wonder what, he must have just blown him away with the creepy Duke.
Jim Broadbent didn't sing like Virginia.
Oh,
He didn't?
No, I read that some of Jim Broadbent's was dubbed also.
Yep.
no, well, I take that remark back.
Moulin Rouge was shot on the same stages of Star Wars Episode II Attack of the Clones, also starring Ewan McGregor. Which, if you want to see his lightsaber, you need to watch, what is it?
Young Adam.
Young Adam and what
and
else, Lisa?
Velvet.
Velvet Goldmine.
Velvet Goldmine, there you go.
I
Just
think
real quick.
Trainspotting too, isn't it?
Yeah, I
You,
can't
I
remember.
don't think you see it in Train Spotting, dude.
Tom would be the one to ask about that.
You
That
see
is
his
a
butt in
Danny
that a
Boyle.
lot.
Oh, maybe that's him.
Yeah, you can see Ewan's McGregor.
I think there's one scene that we didn't talk about with Singing in the Rain that I thought was very well lit. And I just wanted to point it out real quick before we move on to our recommendations. And that is the scene where Debbie Reynolds and Gene Kelly are in the soundstage alone together. I loved when he was, flipping on all the lights. And I thought that looked very pretty as far as cinematography is concerned. No one else? Okay, good. Moving on. Let's move to our recommendations for this month. We will start off, at the top. Tom.
Yeah. So my recommendation is a musical starring George Clooney, Minnie Driver, and Eric Idle. South Park, Bigger, Longer, and Uncut. So it's one of my favorite musicals. I'm sorry, I'm not going to apologize. No, screw you. I love it. It's from the golden year, 99, the best year of movies ever, and it is an absolute joy to watch.
99,
I think
really?
Up There.
And it won
What?
an Academy Award.
99?
99, yeah.
99.
And it won an Oscar.
And Up There. No, I don't think it won for Blame Canada. It was nominated, but I don't think it won.
Oh, okay.
But I love Up There. I think it's one of the most. I love singing along to that song. It's on my iPod. I listen to it all the time. So, and I think it's an incredibly smart movie that talks about that deals with censorship and what the South Park guys had to do with, and just like they did with Book of Mormon, and I mean all the stuff that they tackle, the kind of the controversial subjects that they take on. It's so well done and postmodern, and it refers to itself in these cool layers and everything else that these kids that grew up, their swear words were just bleeps for so many years, and then they finally get to the silver screen and they learn how to swear, and they do it with such gusto. I love it. So South Park the movie, that is my musical recommendation.
You're right, Tom. 99 was a big year for movies. Deuce Bigelow, Male Gigolo,
You asshole.
Deep Blue Sea,
Oh, Never Been Kissed.
Wild Wild West.
American Beauty, The Matrix.
No, I'm joking. Yeah, Office Space.
Election.
Yeah.
Alex.
Yeah, American Pie, Fight Club. Yeah, that was a huge. There's another Sixth Sense. There's another one in 80. Like, was it 84 or 86? Is supposed to be one of the big years for classics as well. But anyway, that just surprised me when you said that. So I had to look it up. I needed to give you crap. But also Galaxy Quest is on there. I love Galaxy Quest. Boondock Saints, Blair Witch Project. Anyway, Gabe, go. Thanks, Gabe.
Right. Well, I was trying to think of, I always like to try to stay topical with my recommendation. It's predictable, but that's what I do. And I was trying to think of musicals that I had seen. And I couldn't think of very many. And so I was looking at lists of musicals to see if there was anything on there that, oh, yeah, I saw that, and that was pretty good, and I would definitely recommend it. Well, I was looking at a list, and Blues Brothers was on the list. And I'm like, I guess that's a musical. That qualifies. I mean, they're definitely singing in there. I don't know if it falls into the kind of traditional musical kind of genre where they actually, like, just kind of randomly break into song as part of the movie. But what the hell? I don't care, because I do enjoy Blues Brothers, and I'm sure many of you have seen it already. But go watch it again. It's a heck of a lot of fun. It's a lot of goofy fun, and there are actually some good tunes in there as well. So go check out Blues Brothers.
Orange Whip.
Orange
Three
Whip.
Orange
Three
Whips.
Orange Whips.
I love that. Oh my God, 99 Mystery Men. I'm looking at Blast from the Past, Mystery Men, South Park, Lake Placid. Holy crap. Bowfinger, Payback. Okay, Tom, I think you hit on something. Man on the Moon. Holy crap.
I'm telling you, man, you could teach an entire class about 1999.
Holy crap. Yeah. That's huge. All right. Sorry, Lisa. Your recommendation for this month.
Well, since I mentioned it so much, I'm going to have to go with Velvet Goldmine. But really, if you go back and you watch this movie, it's kind of the era of glam rock type of thing. You've got some big names in this. I mean, we've got Ewan McGregor, we've got Jonathan Rhys-Meyers, Christian Bale, Toni Collette, and of course, yeah, if he came to my front doorstep, we'd have to talk. And this is odd, but Eddie Izzard, I'd have to kick you out for a while so we could have a nice long talk. Honest to goodness, I think he'd be hilarious, and I'd steal all of his jokes and make you laugh for decades. But anyway, great movie. I have the soundtrack for it. Listen to it a lot. Ewan McGregor does his own singing on it. Jonathan Rhys-Meyers does not. But I love watching this movie.
There's a ton of Citizen Kane in that movie too, and that's not.
Is there really?
Yeah, there are so many Citizen Kane references buried in this movie. The whole plot is like a glam rock Citizen Kane. It's really good.
All right. Well, I may have to watch that with Amanda because I know she'll want to watch it. All right. Speaking of Amanda.
So sort of musical. I don't know if you can count this, but it is from the 50s. But mine's Some Like It Hot, which is my absolute favorite movie ever. It's hysterical. I made Mike watch it not too long after we started dating, and I dozed off, and he woke me up because he was laughing so loud.
It's such a good movie.
It's so good.
So good.
It's so good.
And I will warn, I warn everybody, the first 10-15 minutes or so is kind of slow when they're still in Chicago and they're kind of setting up the story. And after that first 10 or 15 minutes being slow is completely worth it. Tony Curtis does not use his own voice, so he might lose some acting cred for that. But yeah, I every time that movie's on, I watch it. I have 3 different versions on DVD. I have it recorded on the DVR. It's love it. There's a reason it got AFI's #1 comedy all time.
Obsessed. No, it's really good.
A little bit. Well, and it was Marilyn's
Really good.
birthday. It would have been Marilyn's 90th birthday last week, so thought I should throw a bone.
Just real quick, I was right. 1986, Stand By Me, Ferris Bueller's Day Off, Top Gun, Heartbreak Ridge, Alien, Splatoon, Pretty in Pink, Labyrinth, Blue Velvet, The Fly, Highlander, Big Trouble in Little China. I won't count Howard the Duck in there. Little Shop of Horrors, Maximum Overdrive, Short Circuit, The Money Pit, Crocodile Dundee. Yeah, Three Amigos, Flight of the Navigator. Yeah, 86 and 99 are great. But yeah, so Amanda, you introduced me to Moulin Rouge and Some Like It Hot.
You're welcome.
Yeah, thanks. All right, my recommendation is for another Baz Luhrmann film, which I don't care if people ridicule me for it. I love Romeo and Juliet from '96. I don't know why. I don't know how. I just love that movie. And I don't even remember how I saw it for the first time. I don't know if I saw it on HBO or on VHS, but I went right out and I bought it. I love his take on the classic and kind of modernizing it, making guns the swords. And John Leguizamo, for me, steals that entire movie. I love him as the Prince of Cats. And I have not watched it in a while. After I thought about it, what recommendation I was going to throw out there. And so I really need to pop this in the old Blu-ray player and watch it because I really enjoy it. So check out Romeo and Juliet if you haven't seen it yet. And just like Moulin Rouge, it has a great soundtrack, in my opinion. All right. Let's poke the monkey, find out who won.
Ladies and gentlemen, may I have your attention, please? Your winner by decision is Moulin
I want to jump back to Amanda's comment on Some Like It Hot, how stick with it for the 10 to 15 minutes.
Mm-hmm.
I have to tell you, I agree with that so much to the point, how in The Wizard of Oz, it's black and white, and then all of a sudden they get to Oz and it's in color. In my mind, Some Like It Hot, even though it's black and white all the way through, in my mind, after that, as soon as they get to that point where you get past that 10, 15 minutes, all of a sudden, in my mind, that movie is in color.
It's in color.
I don't know why.
Do you know why it wasn't shot in color? Because I'm a trivia junkie. Because their makeup, the makeup that Tony Curtis and Jack Lemmon were wearing, was so bright. They didn't know how they could tone the makeup down while still making them look like women. So they just decided to shoot the whole thing in black and white. Because at that point, when it was being filmed, there were still movies being made both ways. But that was why they ultimately decided not to film it in color.
And another side note on that, totally off topic, but did you see the photo layout? And I can't remember which magazine it was where they had Jack Lemmon and
Tony
Curtis come in, and they put them back in the makeup, and they did another photo layout. This would have been not long before. Just shortly before Jack Lemmon died.
I'm gonna have to find that.
And I wish I could remember where it was, but it's just kind of a fun thing to see.
I will find that. Thank you.
All right. Let's move into our last category, which is where people can stalk you and maybe watch you sleep. Tom.
Wedding Day Rewind, Cheshire Moon Films, but usually people can find me hanging out on the roof, dressed as a nun, drinking absinthe.
Nice.
That was a short joke.
I thought that was you.
That was a short joke for you, Amanda. There you go.
I got it.
And thank you. Thank you for going the entire show without making a short joke. I appreciate it.
Me? Just me? Or everybody?
No, you specifically tend to go after my shorter abilities, and I appreciate you skipping that this time around, especially with a movie with a dwarf as prominent as Toulouse or Wind, whatever.
Toulouse.
Go ahead.
John Leguizamo. Gabe Rowald.
You can find me on Facebook or at onegenomeshort.com.
All right. Lisa.
I guess you can find me at Facebook, but I'm a snob, and you can't find me unless you're a friend of a friend. So
That a girl. There you go.
Wandering around Ames, probably with the loudest kids in Target.
Buying all the Ewan McGregor movies she can get her hands on.
She's classy.
Absolutely.
She buys them from Target, not Walmart.
There you go. See, I respect that.
Yes.
'Cause I hate Walmart.
My kids will be the ones swearing at the top of their lungs.
Really?
Well, if you're gonna do it, make it count.
Yeah. Might as well.
Properly, that's all I care about.
And spell them correctly, apparently.
All right. Amanda.
Facebook and Twitter.
There you go. All right. I am still blown. Sorry, I'm still going through lists for 1986 and 1999, and it blows my mind the movies that came out of that. So I need to. There are my notes. We're not starting the show. We're ending it. We would appreciate it if you could leave us a review on iTunes or whatever podcasting service you use. You can contact us at cinesmac@gmail.com. Follow us on Twitter and Facebook. Just search Cinesmac. You can also find Southsider Studios on YouTube, southsiderstudios.com, and find us on Facebook as well. For July, we go to the darker side of cinema and into the realm of the exquisite as The Room goes head-to-head with Birdemic 2. I know Gabe and Tom are super stoked for this.
Totally.
Just May gestured the gaggy finger in the mouth gesture.
Yeah, that means he's excited, Lisa. He's really wanting to do this.
Oh.
Eat these movies up.
So for Gabe, Tom, Lisa, Amanda, and myself, thanks for listening, and go catch a flick.
But I can see some lonely Moulin Rouge dancers looking for a partner or two. So if you can hunk, you can hunk a dollar with them.
We talk a lot about always in this category about repeatability, and I don't think that's been decided for me because I'll watch both of these movies easily. Another
Hey, Tom.
three or four. Yeah.
Robot voice is back.
Yeah, kind of breaking up a little bit.
Now better.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay. So a lot of times we talk about repeatability in this category.
No.
No, it got bad again.
Yeah.
I am here to serve you.
That sounds normal.
Is that for you? Okay, so we talk about repeatability sometimes in this category. Is this working?
Are you an Asian robot? I mean, that's...
That's like my fake robot voice. Is it bad?
Oh, yeah, it's bad. Oh, my God. I got tears in my eyes.
You better laugh.
Okay, give it another shot, Tom.
Is it good?
Yeah. You just might as well work through it, Tom. Own it.
No, hang on. Try it. Works. Okay. No, Vicky. I don't know who Vicky is.
Wow. That one.
Yeah.
Now you're just ones and zeros.
This has been a test of the Southsider Studios podcast system. This was only a test. If this were a true lack of entertainment, your head would explode. Go to iTunes and subscribe to our feed. Just search Southsider Studios.